Hello everybody, I'm here for day 9 of Watercolor Month. I'm a day behind, so I'm going to see if I can catch up a little bit. So this is the reference photo I plan to use, and it's a little complicated, but I'm going to do the best I can. Anyway, so let's get started. Once again, it's a white flower, which is tough to do, and I'm gonna try using this pen. I don't know, it wasn't writing great, so let's see what I can do with it. I'm turning it over because I don't want the lines to be so broad. The other pen I have on my desk is it normally has a thinner line, but it wasn't working for me. Well, anyway. One of the things when I do this kind of a sketch is I try not to lift my pen up as much, so there are not so many starts and stops. I could have carried this one on, but I didn't. I'm not going to do this exactly because I can't, but I'm going to get the suggestion at least of what this flower looks like. I'm not exactly sure what it is, but I'm going to do some black here. I'm going to have to dry this before I start watercolor, because it's going to be wet for a while, unless I do a little smudge. And I can't give it much of a stem because this book is so small. And I want to make sure that the stem looks sturdy enough to hold up this large bloom. There's a bud, which I think I'll try to incorporate in this. Okay, I think that probably is good enough. Now I need to dry it. First I have to find my heat tool. I'm just looking for my little I forget what they're called, dicky something, whatever, dinky dips or dippy dents or something like that. Those little containers that hold ink. And when I'm heating this, using this heat tool, it pops them off. All right, so the first thing, I think I've already wet my watercolor, and I think I need to kind of do a gray to give some dimension to the. I'm gonna need a paper towel, which was just out of reach. I don't want to use too much. It's just a hint. Just to give it some dimension. And at the base here, it's where it's coming against the center. It's darker. Underneath this petal, it's dark. And underneath all of this is dark, but I think it's a dark green and not a gray. So we're gonna kind of hold off on that a minute. Some just dark here. I will add some green to this, but for the moment I'm just going to do put some gray on it. Okay. Now let's try some yellow. I did spritz this, but I waited too long. They're not all that wet. The color is yellow and it's an orange as well. So I'm gonna add the yellow first. Now we're going to add, this is New Gambrose is the color of this, and it's kind of a yellow orange. I love to watch that wet on wet when the colors run together. There's some areas where I can do some green. I'm going to use more than one green because some of it is really dark, but I want to give an undertone that's lighter. Do a darker green while this is wet. Do a little more gray here. What I've got here on my palette really is kind of a grayish brown sort of color. Soften those lines a little bit. And keeping in mind that it's going to dry lighter than, you know, when it dries, it will be lighter, appear lighter anyway. Gonna do some green splatters. Not getting much. Okay, let's try this again. Add a little bit more of the yellow and orange. This is actually an orange. I'm not sure if I can get it to, there's that puddle of, let me dry that off a little bit. Take that puddle away and put some actual orange in here. That's what it needed. Dry it and then add some white. Well, as soon as I find my heat tool, I'm going to dry it. Here it goes on the floor. At least I know where it is. Sorry, concentrating. Can't do two things at once. That's really not true. You know, there's been studies done that women can multitask and men have a hard time doing that. We compartmentalize things, and so we're able to do multiple things at the same time. I mean, obviously there are physical things that we can't do at the same time, but mental things we can do more than one thing at a time. But that doesn't always apply to painting, I don't think. some of this is sort of defining the gray areas as well as adding some white. Maybe I'll add a little more green. Okay, I think maybe I'm almost done. I lost the part of that leaf, that petal right there. All right, so we're going to dry it one more time and then we'll be done. And then I'll see if I have it in me to do one more. I just added a puddle of color in there, so it'll take it a minute to dry. A lot of watercolor artists don't use a heat tool at all. They use a hairdryer on kind of a low, cool setting. But for this, I just use the heat tool, and normally when I'm doing white color, I don't actually heat it, dry it all, let it dry on its own. Okay, I think that's dry enough, at least. You don't need to watch me dry any more paint. So, this is day 9 of Watercolor Month. I want to thank you for joining me, and I hope to see you again in a few minutes, and if not, tomorrow. Thanks so much.